I'm asking you, you're saying that Trump's administration was engaging in illegal behavior.
I'm telling you the FBI, and it doesn't matter if it was Trump's administration.
No, it does matter.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
I'll explain to you why it does matter.
I'll explain to you why it does. Go ahead.
There has always been between private and public entities communication, sharing of information in some cases.
This is obfuscating the point.
Let me just explain
You're absolutely obvious.
Isabella Moody and the rest of the people on the Timcast IRL completely owns this little Luke Beasley here. Let's see how this goes down.
What you need to understand about something I've explained to Isabella before is that to understand our political analysis of two different relevant, prominent leaders, you have to at least limit it for some logical discussions to the leaders we're talking about, not vibes and abstract perceptions of an entire side. Because on any side, people will do crazy stuff.
But in the case of like look at the BLM riots for months, like that's it's largely left-wing activists.
Yeah, right.
How come it's that?
And
base?
Democrats believed that if you committed crimes, you should be held accountable for them.
That's not true.
Unlike
They were
Trump
bailing them
actually
out.
thinks
Kamala
not true.
herself.
Yeah, it's not true. Unlike Trump actually wanting to pardon people who were violent on January 6th. But I will say,
They should, all of
in
them.
the case of Trump, I'm all for protecting free speech. Y'all will sometimes mix up social media censorship, which if you have a platform, you're on the platform and you have terms of service, we can debate
the
about
town square
what
now.
those terms of service should be, but that's not the same as government infringement.
But the government did infringe,
right?
The
And I'm just
FBI
going
did
to
have.
complete my point really quickly. We can address that.
It's
'cause I know
already
about to
getting
go.
heated. Not even 5 minutes in.
No, and then finally, I've never heard Vice President Harris advocate for censorship, whereas Trump literally said the government should come down hard on MSNBC. That's your leader of your movement, not just some random person out on social media.
Which I disagree with that, by the way.
Kamala Harris absolutely said that she was going to look into expropriating Twitter from Elon Musk because he had lost his privilege. These are her words. That's a direct quote. Lost his privilege to own because he was being. I guess the way that she phrased it was he wasn't doing enough to censor people. She literally said lost his privilege. There was that is a direct quote. Lost.
I'm
like
gonna
I said,
pull it up.
Yeah,
lost
let's
his
watch it.
privilege.
I haven't even seen that.
Totally. Whenever you see these government hearings, online, and you see it's a Republican grilling like Mark Zuckerberg or something, it's always like you're censoring too much. And then whenever you see a Democrat politician grilling Mark Zuckerberg or some sort of social media person, it's always, you're not doing enough to censor it. And they try to spin it as protecting people or, combating false information or something. But no, it's clearly because they want control of what people say or do online, because when people speak out, well, it ruins their whole narrative. It ruins the whole racket they got going on.
So that's an actual direct quote from.
If you can find her advocating government,
Well, the FBI had a desk. They had a portal at Twitter where the FBI could tell
Trump,
people.
you mean?
No, not.
Yeah, as
It
well.
doesn't matter that it was under Trump. It was.
I'm just saying. You're talking about something
No,
that
it doesn't
social
matter
media
because
platforms have
it doesn't
existed,
matter because the FBI
has happened.
It should not.
But it's
the
not
FBI
forcing
should.
them.
It does not matter. The FBI is not in a position to tell private companies who they should and shouldn't censor. That's illegal.
So I'm asking you, you're saying that Trump's administration was engaging in illegal behavior.
I'm telling you the FBI, and it doesn't matter if it was Trump's administration.
No, it does matter.
No, it doesn't.
No, it
actually.
doesn't.
I'll explain to you why it does matter.
I'll explain to you why it does. Go ahead.
There has always been between private and public entities communication, sharing of information in some cases.
This
So
is obfuscating the point.
Let me just explain
You're
the
absolutely,
dang
I'm-
part.
you're,
No,
you're
we're hard,
absolutely obfuscating
So,
the point of the.
listen to what I'm saying, though.
Wait, let him finish, though.
Listen, I'm saying that I agree if the FBI said, we're going to punish you, Twitter or Facebook or something, if you don't censor stuff we want you to censor, that would be a huge problem. Them going also under the Trump administration because Trump was upset that some actress called him a mean word, and they went and requested, hey, we think this violates your terms of service, which anyone with connections at Twitter can do. Hey, does this violate terms of service? Because you might want to take it down. And then what we've seen is the percentages of the actual posts they end up taking down proves that they're not feeling threatened, because a lot of the ones that the government will go, hey, is this against your terms of service? Like I guess the FBI example, then the social media platforms don't even do it. So they're not even being pressured enough to do all the requests.
So
if there were pressure, then I would agree with you.
But there is pressure. There is fundamental pressure. Now I used to do. I was
just
telling
the existence of the FBI saying,
asking
hey,
something.
You should do
Can
this.
you look at this?
When the government asks, that is pressure, and to say that it's not is ridiculous.
Yeah,
if the government
you don't hold that principle on a bunch of other things.
Yes, we do. Here, let me explain to you why. I used to work for Congress. I used to do casework. I was explaining this to Isabella the other day, right? And we would advocate for our constituents. And sometimes we would have to advocate for our constituents to say like American Airlines or a company that wasn't a federal agency. And when we did that, we had to make sure we said, can you give this request consideration, full and fair consideration under the law? However, even though we put that stipulation in there, we knew by the government coming to ask them that we were exerting pressure because they're like, oh, a congressman asked for this to happen, right? And what happens is that they know that if you have histories of not complying, that they can come and like investigate your business.
They have endless resources.
And they've been doing that. The DOJ, don't they have an open investigation
I would love.
I mean, it's mafia tactics. It's like the mafia going into your store and being like, hey, listen, listen, it would be a shame if any thugs or something, someone robbed your store or vandalized your store. Maybe you should pay us protection money. And listen, you don't have to. You don't got to pay us anything. But it would just be a real shame if anything happened to your nice store here. The same vibes. Same exact vibes. The government is going to come in and yes, in itself is pressuring. I mean, look what happened to Rumble and all these non-conforming social media platforms. They got absolutely gagged, and the government used these private company things as kind of a loophole. Like, well, listen, okay, Rumble, you don't have to comply, but maybe the Apple Store, who does comply, maybe they won't allow you to sell their app on there, or Parler and all these other platforms.
To flesh out that principle because it feels like you really limitedly apply it. For example, Trump, because he doesn't like certain coverage, saying CBS should be taken off the air, ABC should be taken off the air, and saying the MSNBC should be targeted by the government. Explicitly his words, you can look up the True Social.
Yeah, he did.
Does anyone here agree? Like, I don't think that's okay.
None
obviously.
of y'all are fixated on that, whereas Harris, I still haven't seen the clip.
I just pulled it up, but I'm seeing here that like it's a fact check, not totally accurate. So I want to be good about what it says. And you, Callan, I put it in the thing, but you can look
again. Yeah. So I'm sure there's some random lefties who are too pro censorship and stuff like that. But I'm looking at people in positions of power because then I know that they're actually relevant to political discourse. Trump's the only one I've heard overtly calling for censorship, which is why he would be the more anti-free speech candidate.
Okay. So here's what I want to say to that. Right. When I tell you that like mass people, and they've shown data to support this, were being pulled off of social media outlets, right? Like they were the ones. If you look at the data, there is another graph too that shows now that Elon Musk bought Twitter, it's an even split. It's almost identical.
CNN. That was a CNN.
It was a CNN, right?
Of people using the
platform. And before it was skewed so far to the left. And that is not because of usage. That is because they were deactivating so many accounts.
A lot of it's because of liberals not using the platform anymore. But I've looked into
So what, they went to Blue Sky in the last month?
We've there's been analyses that have demonstrated that it's because right-wingers violate the term of service. Now, you could say the term of service should be different, and that's totally fine.
Well, okay, so
and I have issues with term of service sometimes whenever videos of mine get taken down or whatever, but that's different than the left or Democrats have
So now, I want to push back on that idea. The idea.
Do you understand the distinction, though? It seems like...
I mean, the point that I'm making, though, is when you say violate the terms of service, this speaks to something that actually Tim made a point about when he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, right? So if you say, like, if you make remarks about trans people, if you dead name someone, that is something that you could lose your Twitter account, you could get locked out for dead naming. But that isn't because of that's an ideological position. That's not like if you say, oh, you're violating the terms of service because you're harassing someone because you didn't dead name them. That's an ideological position.
Right. It's not like constant harassment. And the things is that the terms of service were so vague.
Yeah, they're ambiguous.
No,
they're not
specific.
terms
of service. If the terms of service if the people making the judgment about the terms of service are ideologically,
I just agree with you. Of course,
you just said that it was.
And I do take issue with the terms
what is racism? What are these different things? What is hate speech? All of that's going to be completely subjective. Obviously,
and by the
that's
way,
just the
they
way
only
that
target people
private
on the
platforms.
right.
The only way that you can make this a
disgusting.
constitutional issue is if you if you like nationalized social media platforms.
No, because
which I don't
because the government trying to use a third party to censor is illegal as well, and that's something the Supreme Court has found. So if the government is pressuring social media companies to block people or to boot them off the platform, that's a violation of their constitutional rights too. So you can't say that the only way.
Totally fine. I agree they shouldn't pressure. You're also not really making a right or left issue, because that's something that the Trump administration part took in a lot. And Trump actually says it more overtly. So it sounds like you're for the Democratic Party.
Go ahead.
Sitting with a bunch of Democrats, then awesome.
Because I remember a few years ago, congressional Democrats putting pressure on social media company owners to start censorship. And even just right before the 2024 election, Adam Schiff, what did Trump call him? Shifty Schiff with his long neck, whatever, pencil neck Schiff.
Watermelon head.
He demands social media companies take action in advance of 2024 election to address spread of election misinformation, which they also did with COVID. They were censoring doctors and anyone that had different opinions regarding the efficacy of the COVID vaccine.
And the Hunter Biden laptop. But that's not
misinformation. Right. They censored the New York Post.
Right. So
Isabella Moody brought up a great point, and everyone brought up great points. This is why no one likes the left. Like these lefties, they're so disingenuous, and it's clear they have no moral compass. They have no principles. It's just, well, if Trump did it, it's wrong. But if we did it, it's good. They do this thing, and I've noticed this. They do this thing where, so let's say they're arguing a point, right? Let's say censorship. And the right will be like, well, the left does things to censor people. And then this dude, like Luke Beasley right here, will be like, well, Trump's called for censorship. And also those policies, like with the FBI thing, the FBI spying point that they were talking about earlier, that was under Trump's administration. Oh, so then by his logic, he should be pro-Trump. If Trump was really pro-censorship, like if Trump was really like, yeah, I'm for censoring, free speech is not absolute, well, then by all means, Luke Beasley and these other Democrats should be pro-Trump then, if Trump really is this person that they're saying he is. But they're not. They're just trying to win an argument, no matter how stupid or dumb or disingenuous it makes them look. It's completely bad faith, and that's why no one likes these people. And listen, I'm all for debating people and hearing both sides of the conversation. And I think there are people on the left who genuinely want to have a good conversation. They're just blinded by their own dumb beliefs. But you have this Luke Beasley here who knows he's wrong. He knows he's hypocritical, but he's trying to win a debate or he's trying to push propaganda. And everyone else is pointing out these good points, and he is just looking for any counter argument that he thinks will make him look right. If the FBI acting in bad faith under Trump's administration if that was really a bad thing, if that whole FBI thing under Trump was actually, if it meant anything, if that was an actual argument, then technically he should be for Trump. But he's not. He's just using that to try to make the right look bad. It's so clear to see. Again, I get why they have these people on to debate them, but when they're arguing in bad faith, is it really worth it? Comment down in the section, sound off in the comment section down below and let me know your thoughts. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoy content like this. And if you do enjoy content like this, I got a whole bunch more goodies on the screen for you to click on and enjoy.